everybody. Welcome to Astrology Talk, a monthly podcast. And here we are at the end of August, about to tip into Virgo season. I'm here with my friend Sally Kirkman from sallykirkman.com. I'm Christina Rodenbeck from the Oxford Astrologer. And just a little bit of housekeeping first, folks, which is if you like our podcast, could you please give it a 5-star review, press like, tell your friends about it, etc. It's all very helpful. I think it's helpful. I don't know. What do you think, Sally? I never know with the whole internet. The web of the internet is so confusing these days.
The Tinternet, as I like to call it. I think that was a Peter Kayism, the Tinternet. Well, they say that it's a good thing to do, liking and subscribing. So let's give it a whirl, please do.
Yes. Anyway, I've done my duty now, the housekeeping duty. How are you, Sally? How has your month been with this incredible and gorgeous Venus and Jupiter conjunction in Cancer?
Yeah, because we're kind of talking on the back of it, aren't we?
Yeah.
That's been absolutely lovely. I mean, I had all my family coming to stay. Considering I live in a flat, there was 8 of us here one night and 7 the other. So it was a huge family get together. Perfect. It's I'm Aries rising, so it falls in my home and family sector. And there was lots of good news for other people. But not me necessarily. There's quite a few. In fact, and I've just had my niece there was a travel insurance claim that she wasn't expecting to get. She was told she wouldn't get it. She's just got that come in. So, which is lovely with Jupiter and Venus. I often think it can be about big love, big money, can't it? It can really sort of hype things up and be rather wonderful. And I heard about a few people getting kind of Brucey bonuses financially. So I was like, lovely. And then where's mine? I haven't had one. But yeah, I got family.
Yeah, you got family. Well, that's very nice. I have. There do seem to I want to say pennies from heaven seem to be showering down on other people. But yeah, it's been very good. My friends who are refugees from Turkey got their citizenship, which I think is very Cancerian.
Yeah.
Part of the family, part of the family here. And I went on a completely different note, on that day, I went to see a fantastic production of Semele, the opera, which is about Jupiter making babies with a nymph, Semele, or is she a princess? Anyway, it's about a conjunction of Jupiter with a nymph. Of course, it goes very badly wrong, but it's got it's a very funny opera. It's incredibly sexy, which I think is quite a kind of Venus and Cancer thing anyway. It's a sexy placement. Yes, so there's a lot of in that. It's sexy and it's beautiful, and it was an incredibly beautiful evening. The music is great. So that was very Venus and Jupiter, and it was in my 11th.
Yeah, 11th house. So kind of social, isn't it? Yeah, that's nice. I mean, the other, Mercury retrograde. We've got to talk about that a bit. I found it quite extraordinary this time because I was quite debilitated. I had a lower back issue. You think, Leo rules the heart and the spine. I had a lower back issue for a week, and the Mercury was going back and forth over my Mars, which is quite physical anyway. My Mars in Leo. And then I tripped up on the beach. I was going for a long walk and I managed to trip up over a bit of metal and kind of scrape my hand and my elbow, my knee, and that kind of debilitated me for another week. So, talk about being slowed down.
What, Sally? You and me both, because I have a frozen shoulder. That's been really bugging me, man. I've been putting heat on it. I've been putting cold on it. I've been seeing the osteopath. In fact, I'm going to see him again today. Yeah. So again, a back issue with Mercury retrograde in the it's my left shoulder. So that's interesting, actually. Funny.
Yeah, I don't normally get slowed down in that way. I mean, I was literally slowed down. I couldn't walk very well for a couple of weeks. And I suppose it's, the Mars is it's a physical strength, isn't it? So it was that was debilitated. And I mean, the other thing that I just, we've had these extreme weather as well, which is so Mercury retrograde, I think. It's often things go bonkers. I mean, with earthquakes, tsunami warnings, volcanoes, and even as Mercury's turning direct in Leo, fire, we've got these fires raging. We're back in real heat situation, aren't we, in Europe?
Yeah.
And fires out of control again. So, literal fires and just crazy weather going on.
Yeah.
Heat, heat.
I would say that's also all those planets in Aries. It's the combination of the planets in Leo and the planets in Aries working together. Like, I mean, you don't need to be an astrologer really to say we're going to have a problem with fires now that with Neptune in Aries, that's about fire. It's out of control fire. And that's going to be, Neptune's in Aries now. What goes back into Pisces in October for a few months, for 5 or 6 months. And then after that, it's going to be in Aries for like the next 10, 15, 10, more than 10 years, isn't it?
Usually around 12 years. I mean, it's usually around 12 years, isn't it?
And that's going to be one of the themes of that decade is fire.
Yeah, and the seas. I mean, Neptune, god of the sea, the oceans and what's going on underneath the oceans as well. I mean, in good and these planets play out in good ways and not so good ways, don't they? There's Neptune in Aries can be a big cleanup of the oceans, but also there's talk about more sea mining and stuff going on. It's do we save it? Do we not?
I despair of these people who seem to think that the planet is just here who see the planet as a facility to be used.
Yeah, they just it's taking, isn't it? Taking from the earth.
And they don't see it as a shared, that we're actually sharing the planet with a lot of other beings. I mean, that's the basic difference is people who see this world as a place to exploit.
Yeah.
And people who see this world as a beautiful experience to share.
Yeah, and that's astrology helps with that, doesn't it? Because it, reminds us of our place within, part of the universe. It's that interconnectedness of all things.
Yeah, and your place is both tiny and it's nothing, not even a grain of sand, it's nothing, it's minuscule. Yeah, it's also key because of everything. You need everything to be working in harmony.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the sort of kind of new age thinking, which I kind of subscribe to, which is that at least if you harmonize your own self and your relationship with the universe, it has some kind of resonance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Across, across, I was going to say across the interweave, but that's a new phrase, a new word that I've just made up.
Across the interweave of life. Well, it's rather nice, isn't it? Yeah, you get a lot of, in the yoga I do and meditation, there's that, that kind of thesis is in there. It's in there in yoga that, there's things rippling out your own individual self, what you do and your actions then ripple out into the universe. And I do love that. I love that. And how we are with our human beings and how we are with Earth. It's so important, that individual choice and decision to be a good human being, actually, and be connected.
I think that's also part of the Saturn-Neptune arrival in Aries, which is to say,
yes,
actually, you have to take the lessons that you've learned from Neptune and Pisces about spirit, and you have to really apply them in real life and take the individual action. Whatever that is. And your individual action, by the way, may just be meditating every day. It doesn't mean going out and getting arrested necessarily.
Saving the world and protesting. It can be in different ways, can't it?
Yeah. Although thank the people who have been doing that.
Yes, I agree. And also that, we have talked about the big pattern, haven't we, quite a bit? The Saturn, Neptune, Aries, and then linking into Uranus, Pluto in the air signs, Gemini, Aquarius. So it is, also an awareness of being part of something bigger, whether that's society or the interconnectedness of all things again, and the role of the individual within that, Aries. So it's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes. So where are we, Sally? Oh, so we've kind of done a little bit of retrodiction there, which is what we normally do at the beginning of the pod. Do we want to talk a little bit about Virgos? Because we're going into Virgo season and we realize that actually quite often this is when Sally and I take a holiday. So we haven't really had that discussion about Virgo so much, have we?
No, we haven't. We haven't. Yeah, because we had our sabbatical last Virgo season. This is a big Virgo season coming up. Yeah. It's always Virgo for me it is the Virgin, and the symbol is with it's a reminder of the harvest, isn't it? The fertility of the harvest and gathering your crops ready for the winter. As we're moving in the Northern Hemisphere, moving into that season. So it's very, one of the earth signs. It's actually very connected to nature, the sign of Virgo. And that importance, as we've been saying, the importance of kind of daily rituals with Virgo, tending to the body, tending to the mind, body, spirit connection, I think is a big part of being Virgo. A lot of the Virgos I know are so health conscious. They're really aware of the importance of looking after self. I think that's kind of one of the key parts of it.
I find often with Virgos that they had a very racy bit in their 20s.
Oh, yes.
When they were basically putting all kinds of crap into their bodies and experimenting, and then they click into this this super health consciousness. So interested in experimenting with the body, I think.
Yeah, I think, a prim and proper on the outside. You often, with the Virgo, there's that prim and proper, but red hot on the inside is always one of the ways I know. Yeah, many Virgos. Again, if you're in touch with the body, you're in touch with your sexuality. Yeah, in that way. And Virgo, the opposite star sign is Pisces. Yeah. Which is, drink and drugs as well. It's the slippery slope of addictions and escapism. So yeah, they go on a detox cleanse, go the opposite.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes you don't make it. I'm just thinking of Amy Winehouse. She kind of got to 27, and that was the point at which often it's time to switch. The Saturn return, the progressed lunar return. But yeah, Virgo is an interesting sign. I find I obviously, because I'm a Pisces, and like many people born in the same time as us, I have that massive conjunction in Virgo of Pluto and Uranus. It stares straight at me in my chart. So I often, I admire the things of Virgo a lot because there are things that I'm missing myself. But one of the important things about Virgo as a sign, and wherever it is in your chart, this is useful to think about, is that Virgo is a very critical sign. Yeah. It's not like, oh, everything's fine. No, it's very critical. And that criticism is really useful because it stops you from thinking that you can just get away with doing it in a sort of half-hearted way, or that you're not going to make something really, really well. And I find that a lot of Virgos I know are just really excellent at something. Whatever it is they're doing, whether it's editing or sewing or cooking, or there's things that they're really good at. And if they're not good at something, they don't do it. Yeah. So also this kind of, so they will just, and that, I think that's a really good lesson for the rest of us, is don't waste your time.
Well, yeah, that's often, I think, something that the perfectionist side of Virgo, you need to learn. Good enough is good enough as well, isn't it? Otherwise, they can get so caught up in the detail and having to do it so well that you don't kind of complete things, or you don't have the satisfaction or fulfillment of doing things. And I was going to say something else then, and oh, my mind went off on a tangent. It was about the mind, actually. It was about the mind. That's the other thing. There's Virgos can be critical of self, and their mind, your Mercury ruled. They need to learn not to be so hard on themselves, because they have that, quite a lot of Virgos have that anxious side, the mind just goes 10 to the dozen, doesn't it?
Well, it's a clever sign. I definitely agree with you about the self-criticism. So that's where the criticism goes wrong, is when you're overly critical of yourself or overly critical of your partner.
Yeah.
It can just be reflected onto the other side. So criticism is good, and criticism is also can also stunt you and stop you from growing when you're overly critical.
Yeah. It's learning when to criticize as well, isn't it? Sometimes to let go of the little things and go in on the more important things. The other, I mean, just when you were talking about Amy Winehouse, it's interesting. The other Virgo who I often think about is Nick Cave.
Yeah.
You know, he's quite an amazing character. I mean, he was, you know, rock singer, very into the drink and drugs in his youth, and now is quite devotional, quite spiritual, quite godly. You know, I follow him on Red Hand Files. So there's that. Also, this is the Virgo Pisces axis, isn't it? There's that. It is sometimes finding the way to spirit through it.
What is Red Hand Files are they to do with the Red Hand of Ulster?
No.
Something else. No. Okay.
No, I don't know why it's called Red Hand. No, he answers questions that his fans write. He's brilliant. I love him. And again, very he's really good with his words. I mean, he's a great lyricist. He's a wordsmith. So I mean, they're just beautiful to read. And he's very in touch with the realm of spirit. He's had quite a lot of tragedy in his life. He's lost, you know, 2 sons. He lost one age 15. And it's come through the tragedy of life and the suffering of life that he kind of really connected with spirit and that access to joy as well.
Yeah.
So he's an interesting Virgo.
Yeah, I've seen him live. He's very shamanic in his when he's performing as well. But yes, and I think that he also exemplifies that thing of the wordsmith, which is very Virgo. That's where you find your often, not all Virgos, but often with Virgo, that is somehow where you find your connection is through the words, and that's a very Mercury thing. Although I can think of some Virgos I know who are like literally dyslexic, so it's not like always the written word. It can be the spoken word, or it can be craft, as the other thing that I really associate with Virgo is being a good craftsman or woman. You know, it's a very interesting sign. It's one of the, I feel like it's a very overlooked sign. It has essential qualities that actually keep things ticking along really well. And it's interesting also about Nick Cave is that he is sort of into the sacred every day is and that is Virgo, is how you bring that into the everyday. Actually, and it's a sign because it's a mutable sign. It's one of these signs that really develops and changes through its life. Sun sign Virgos, you know, they start one way and they develop and evolve and they change. Some of the more fixed signs where you can have someone who's pretty much the same, you know, the core is the same. Virgos are on this journey of experiment, and that's the other thing I would say about to Virgos in general is allow yourself to experiment on yourself. Honestly, don't go too far. But, you know, be sensible. But, you know, you are your own experiment.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think also, you know, we are in Virgo season for all of us. It's kind of, there's that exploration. But I often think of it as well as, you know, it is after the heat of Leo season when a lot of people are on holiday and it's downtime. There's something about Virgo season as well as like back to school or back to business, getting getting things organized, getting the work side of life ready. Where are you heading? So it's that time to start that regular routine more as well, isn't it? Moving into Virgo season very often, not across the board. I'm going on holiday twice, I think. Just to throw that in the mix.
Yeah, it's the season of change when you're changing from the summer to autumn. It's because it's mutable. It's one of the mutable signs that we're coming into, and then Libra will begin the autumn season. So speaking of which, shall we begin to look at the Virgo season, which
let's begin at the beginning, shall we? Because it's a big Virgo season, because for starters, we've got 2 new moons in Virgo and we need to look at both of them. one at the beginning, one at the end.
And
So the first new moon is at 0 degrees Virgo on August 23rd. And then the second, which is an eclipse, we're moving into eclipse season, is on September 21st at 29 Virgo. So how interesting. I mean, this does happen every couple of years, doesn't it, when you get two new moons in the same star sign? But it feels quite important. Should we pop one up?
Yes, please do. Yeah, and so we've got two new moons and two eclipses coming up in in the month ahead. And so it's going to be a season of change, a season of, we're easing into yet again. I have to say that if I have to hear about change one more time this year, it's like, enough already, guys. Can we stop and hold, take a breath? But this
we can't.
We can't, because 23rd of August is banging into all of that stuff in early. We've been talking a lot about the big planetary pattern in the early degrees, and boom, we have a new moon at 0. So of course it clicks right into all that stuff.
Yeah, it does. And the big one is a square, very tight square aspect to Uranus in Gemini, the planet of change, the unexpected, the unpredictable, splitting off. So there's that major square to talk about, but also the new moon makes a yod pattern, makes two quincunxes or inconjuncts to Neptune, Saturn in Aries, Pluto, Aquarius, and they're working together. So yeah, it's very pivotal for what's going on. And I think also when we're getting these planets right at the start of new signs, it's helping reveal what this big pattern's about of the outer planets working together. So this should be quite an important new moon for that. And finding out more.
Just to point out, like so the last one in Leo was also at this, was it at 0 or at 1? But anyway, it was also clicking into the pattern. And the one before that in Cancer was also clicking into the pattern.
Yeah.
But when we get to this one at the end of the month, it's sliding back to 29. But then so are some of the planets, so the outer planets. So it's very interesting how the new moons have been following this big pattern, or actually enlivening it. So this is good. And if you cast your mind back to earlier in the summer, you'll probably recall that the previous two new moons were quite consequential, probably personally, for a lot of people. And so will this one be. Stuff, it triggers stuff. I mean, especially I would say, probably for Virgos. You know what I mean? Probably for Virgos. This is the beginning and the end, So I have noticed that there have been quite a lot of endings as well as beginnings.
Agreed.
So it's felt very extraordinary in terms of like major life chapters finishing for people. Yeah. And that's partly connected to this, I think, to this series of new moons, which are like, right, we're finishing that, because we've got a big new start coming up next year.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's and it's interesting, I think, a new moon when you get Uranus involved, because the new moon wants to sort of look ahead, but Uranus is kind of cutting off. It's shedding what's, what is changing, what's falling away with Uranus. So it's quite interesting, isn't it? It's and I think at this new moon there might be people who just want to leap in and do something wild and crazy, unpredictable. And I would advise being a little bit careful of that on this new moon, actually, with Uranus, because Uranus is the type, it's the energy that jumps out of the frying pan into the fire very often. It doesn't think, there's no thought there. And there needs to be some kind of logic. There needs to be a rationale behind what you're doing. So there's this impulse to do something, to split off, to move, to start something. But I think you need to be a little bit wary of it around this date. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think that Uranus is like a switch. And that's what's happening, is the switch is being turned on, and that switch is in Gemini.
Yeah.
So how long comes this new moon in Virgo? And these two signs actually, although they're square to each other, they have got an affinity because they're both ruled by Mercury. So you look at the Mercury, it's in Leo. So it may be something quite dramatic, it seems to me. And so for I'm just thinking actually, one of my daughters is on that very day, she is departing this country to go live in France for a year. She's going to leave for a year abroad. And she's a Gemini, and it is the switch. She's starting a new chapter of her life. It's going to be life-changing. There's no question about it.
Mm.
And I think that for a lot of Geminis, it's really important to know you're going to have this amazing planet, which probably has a great affinity with your sign, in your sign for 7 years. And this may be the moment that you really start to do stuff with it. You notice, you really feel it happening. Of course, it does go back into Taurus for 6 months, doesn't it, in November?
Yeah.
Really, this is the beginning of something new.
Yeah. Yeah. And interesting what you're saying, because as a Pisces, it falls in your home and family sector, and your child is setting off on an independent, life. So for Pisces as well, it's linked to home and family, isn't it? It may be someone literally leaving, as in your case, or moving home, or, where are you heading to? And also, I think, again, we talk about this with beginnings, when any new beginning, it's like, what are you leaving behind? Where's the ending? Yes, I'm moving to a new home, but I'm saying goodbye to this home and all the people I know here, and I'm creating a new life. So the two are so closely connected.
Yeah, it's liberation. That is the Uranian thing, is you're flying free, but also leaving something behind, which is the new moon. What are you burying? What are you leaving behind? In the case of my child, it's her mother, the moon, is being left behind on the shelf weeping.
No, don't go, do go. Don't go, do go.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
and that's also this mutable thing, isn't it? Yes, no, which way?
Yeah. Yeah. You're excited for them, but sad for yourself. And it's conflicting emotions. So, there is a sense of that. For Virgo as well, this is in your Uranus in your career sector, your future sector. So again, it's what's kicking in. I think for me, what's really interesting about this new moon is that, it's not officially an eclipse, is it? The eclipses are the next two. But we're bang in this, we're right in the middle of the Virgo Pisces eclipse season. It started in September 2024. It's been going a year, and it will last till February 2027. And for me, Uranus often acts like eclipse events because it's usually life steps in and brings something new. It's change on the outside that necessitates you to make a move, or you can't stay static. You can't stay in the same place. So even though this isn't officially an eclipse, it feels eclipsy to me because of that square to Uranus. The theme is change.
I mean, I'm just thinking also about Sagittarians. This new moon. A lot of Sagittarians are work in academia, or teachers. So obviously, it's the new moon that starts the school season for a lot of them. But there's something very much more dramatic about this one. It seems like a more consequential, more important new term coming up. And something may be changing in your job, right? Or in your government, frankly. And also for Sagittarians, in your relationships. So all of these mutable signs, Sagittarius, Virgo, Pisces, and Gemini, are powerfully affected by this new moon at the month. But not only that, because of this outer planetary pattern, then you get Aries and Aquarius involved as well, which brings in a whole host of brings in these other signs. So you have both the cardinal and the fixed signs are also getting in on the party with this.
That's interesting. It's interesting. I think this will be really pivotal events around this new moon. And also the other thing to say is, Mercury during the new moon, it's at 12 Leo. So, on the 25th, it's back at 14, 15 Leo, where it turned retrograde on July 18th. And also Venus is moving into Leo, which I think is also the 25th. And then Venus will be in Leo season as well. So there's this real run of Leo activity that we've just had throughout the year, actually, because Mars turned retrograde there and then Mercury's been retrograde. There could be some real turning points as well at this new moon, wherever Leo falls in your horoscope. And I think for Leos, this could be, I know some Leos are kind of in situations where there's things that have conflicts that have been dragging on. I wonder as well on the back of this, whether there's going to be this new beginning for Leo as well, whether things might come good with it being Venus finally moving into Leo and Mercury back where it was when it turned retrograde.
Yeah, and then Venus moves into Leo, and on the very day that she moves in, of course, she starts to be part of this big pattern, doesn't she? She opposes Pluto. So that's a big day. What day is that happens? So
the 25th, well, she moves into Leo on the 25th, and then she triggers all the planets on the 26th, 27th.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really on the back of this, isn't it?
I would say straight from the 25th, actually. As soon as she's moving into Leo, she starts to make that trine to Saturn, and then, so she's following on the heels then of this new moon, and she's triggering everything in a slightly different way. So, I mean, and one way of seeing that, Venus and Pluto have a very interesting relationship anyway. This is sex and money. They're both sex and money planets.
Yeah.
They bring that out in each other. And one of the things that we've been seeing over the summer is these conspiracies like the Epstein stuff, and the truth coming out about certain going on behind the scenes. That's very Mercury retrograde, is the truth being dug up.
Yeah.
It's been happening and flung in our face. And I feel that with this may be another revelation or some kind of action. And I'm thinking more politically, on the world stage, that comes around this last week of August. I mean, usually in August, all the politicians and stuff are on holiday, right? So nothing happens. But this August has been incredibly politically busy. Just as we're speaking, there's this very important meeting happening in Alaska. So, but has it happened? Have they got there yet?
I don't know.
So we'll see the consequence, and that is interesting because it happens just after Mercury's gone direct, right?
Yeah.
So some kind of stuff that's been going on behind the scenes is about to, burst into the light.
Yeah, it is. I was going to say it's interesting astrology, and on a personal level, like for Aquarius, it's about what's the important relationship as well. That's whether things have come to light, or there's been kind of revelations coming to light. It's this period is very pivotal, I think, and I think it's a time when you can make up your mind whether to stay or go. And it could give you some kind of powerful influence from other people as well, connections from other people, maybe a woman as well, with it being Venus moving into Leo. But there's something, it feels to me like something's coming good, and it is a good time, particularly for Aquarius, to make a decision about a relationship or see who's on your side. And that will be different for different star signs.
Yeah. Yes, and I think that for Aquarius, it is about sex or money, probably.
Yeah.
Or is love.
Or love.
Love, sex or money. But, it's about these very core things, and you may just know exactly how you feel, because sometimes that's hard for Aquarians. Suddenly you view the object of your love, you understand that this is that's what it is.
Yeah, and Leo's the heart, isn't it? It's how you feel. It's your feelings. It's following the heart, whereas Aquarius can be airhead and detached. So it feels very passionate.
Yeah,
it feels very passionate. with Venus and Mercury and Leo. It's like follow the heart, follow the feelings, follow the desire, actually, at this time.
Yeah, I agree. It's incredibly passionate, and it's made further more passionate by the fact that it makes that connection to Neptune as well, which
Yes.
is all about
Yes.
love also. So
Yeah.
basically, what happens at that 25th, if we weren't just talking about if these were normal times and we didn't have that Pluto opposition, we would be talking about that incredibly beautiful trine between Venus and Neptune.
Yeah.
Fire,
Romance.
inspiring, exciting, the beginning of something.
Mm.
And that, so for like Librans, for instance, this may be the beginning of some amazing love affair.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm.
ignites. So what happens is that Venus kind of is igniting that
Mm.
Neptune.
Yeah.
Um, and also for Aries, I think it's really good. It's really lovely to have that Venus come in, start to trine all your stuff.
Mm.
And, actually thinking about also for Sagittarius, you suddenly become part of this grand trine. Your natal position of your sun or your ascendant becomes part of this beautiful grand trine that will unite you personally, you're part of it, with Venus and Neptune, which
Yeah.
are upper, and they're both planets of love. So you've got
Yeah.
Venus making the connection to Pluto, which is sex and money, the sex and money
Mm.
connection, that
Mm.
side of her. And then there's the beautiful side of her that's about beauty and love, which is actually connecting to Neptune, which is the other side of her. So she's having both her some of both her two aspects. I mean, there are more than two, but two of her aspects are being really drawn out at that point.
Yeah. And it feels very creative too. I think it feels, it's very creative. I think for the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, this is leaning into something that, that sort of lights you up, and leaning into it. And also very celebratory.
I
It
agree.
feels celebratory too. You might be, I don't know, there's, celebrating what's happening with a child or someone you love. There's this celebratory feel of things are just suddenly turn, the wheel of fortune turns and things are starting to go well.
Mm.
So it's really big, powerful astrology, isn't it? Even though we're in this season of change, I think there's going to be, some wins and and some pleasures and enjoyments.
Well, and it's interesting also that she's coming out of her beautiful conjunction with Jupiter in mid August, right?
Mm.
And then she sails into this fantastic trine with Neptune, and actually possibly quite a useful opposition to Pluto. We always think of opposition sounds like a bad thing, but it's not always. It's like that can be partnership, as we discussed with Aquarius,
Yeah.
being the truth of how you feel or how someone else feels or who someone else is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so she's taking that energy from Jupiter, it's kind of translating the light. She's taking the energy of Jupiter and bringing it into this big pattern.
Yeah. And this is the really the power and the importance of the big pattern, isn't it? Because it means that an opposition or square isn't on its own. It's
Yeah.
kind of this help and support from the other planets. So it creates something that actually gives it more power or more oomph. So, the astrology isn't playing out in these sort of simple lines. There's this complexity, which actually I think is very helpful and very supportive too.
I agree. And also, so she comes in, she makes the opposition to Pluto, she makes the trine, which is beautiful, to Neptune, and she makes the sextile to Uranus.
Mm.
So and that's also really interesting because that's just dynamic. That's dynamic movement. Again, it's about change, and it's about, again, it feels like a love affair starting for some people, maybe the Gemini's amongst us, or yeah, maybe the Leos, some kind of it's like the ignition switch is turned on with that when she
Mm.
hits the
Mm.
so it's a really important day. actually, especially if you've got any planets at 0, 1, 2, 3 degrees of really any sign, they're all going to be affected by this.
And also, I mean, Taurus, just thinking of Taurus being Venus ruled, we've talked about Libra, but for Taurus as well, all this Leo energy in particular is in your home and family sector. So, you know, that could be a big family celebration, or, you know, the property deal goes through, or you find the right person to kind of, I don't know, locate long lost granny. It could work in different ways, but it's that, you know, it is about this, it's in that sector of your horoscope.
Yeah, really interesting. Shall we move on? Otherwise, we'll just stay wallowing around in this very exciting end of August. I mean, we're still we haven't even, progressed into the next part of we haven't even got to September, but now we will into the eclipse.
Now we will, and because it's eclipse season, so we've got 2 eclipses, the lunar eclipse on September 7th, and then also we need time to look at the solar eclipse on September 21st in Virgo. But I've just put up the chart of the lunar eclipse, which falls at, the moon's at 15 Pisces, sun 15 Virgo. And I think what's important at this eclipse is that Saturn has shifted and moved back into Pisces. It moved back on September the 1st. So this kind of, or there's Uranus and Neptune are going to follow. They're going back into either Pisces or Taurus, the water and earth signs. So there's been this sort of excitement of new beginnings, seeding things, looking ahead to next year. And now they're going back into their previous star sign. So there's a sense of something really kind of resolving or completing, maybe. Or maybe you're just taking a step back and waiting to kind of launch or move forward again next year when these planets get back in their new star signs. So it's that first shift, isn't it, with Saturn back in Pisces?
Yeah, and you can connect that to basically Saturn's been in Pisces for a couple of years now. And it's an important placement for Saturn, not his most favorite, but it is the end of the zodiac. It's the final sign. And in olden times, Saturn was the final planet in the solar system. So this is a time, it's the end of times. I don't want to say that, but it is definitely about finishing stuff off now. And it may be stuff that you've been doing for the last 2 years, or it may be stuff that you've been doing for the last 28 years, the Saturn cycle, right? So there's this, and it may be something that we've actually, as a planet or as the humanity, it may be something even bigger that's being kind of finished off neatly in a way. There's some loose ends that need to be sewn up. And this is going to happen with this. And we've got from now, beginning of September, until February to finish some stuff off with the help of Saturn. Saturn's really good at completion.
Yeah, it is. It is. It closes the door, doesn't it?
So if you have like a book to finish writing, or or paper to finish, or something like that, or a course to finish, any of those things, this is a really good time to do that, or to go back. I was talking to my sister yesterday, and she had to go back and get one more class to get her degree when she was in her 20s. She did it quite late, because you can do that in the States. You just have one more class and then you've got all your credits.
Yeah.
Like that. It's like, get the last credit so you can graduate into the new world, right? Yeah. And now's that point. So what credit do you need to complete? February.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's almost like, what are you wrapping up, or are you bringing to closure? I think the other important cycle in this, because this eclipse really pulls in the nodes, doesn't it? They're at 18 degrees, so the sun and moon are very close to them. I think the other cycle, and this is something that I'm aware of, I've been aware of with clients, things coming to a close that started 18, 19 years ago in the last Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle, and things. It's very often that 19 years. I mean, it was my main relationship was 19 years. It's like someone comes into your life and there's a reason they're there. And then it comes to the end of the cycle and it's like, are we moving forward together or are we going separate ways? So that might, partnership, either personal or professional, that might be under the gaze of both Virgo and Pisces with this. What's come full circle, kind of, where is it time to let go and move on? And that is often, I think, the eclipses ask that of us as well. So it's kind of this, Saturn's doing this completion, and these eclipses are kind of asking the same in a way, aren't they?
Yeah.
During this period.
I mean, it's a classic cycle, the nodal cycle, and one way to think of it is, quite for a lot of people, you're born at the beginning of one, and then at 19 you leave home. And it's the same for the parent. You have the baby, and then at 19 the kid leaves home. I mean, it's not always like that, but it is a really classic one where you have this cycle of like being, that's, you were being the full-time parent to that person, and then they're released, right? Or you're, as a young person, it's like, oh my God, I'm having my nodal return now. I'm going into my new chapter, which will be the next 19 years. Sort of thinking of your life in these 19-year chapters can be really enlightening, actually, because everybody knows about the Saturn cycle, but that's a little bit on the long side. And when you think of what some very important years in your life, they're likely to be that 19th, the 19th year. And then what's the next one? Is it 38?
37, 38.
738. Often a really important year. I know a lot of people who had a baby in that year, for example.
Me.
And then presumably 19 years later, that baby left home.
Yeah. Well, classic, isn't it?
It is classic. So these are really, really important years, these nodal return years. But even if it's not your nodal return, so that would be anybody who was born with the nodes in Pisces or Virgo.
Yeah.
It's useful. You may find that the nodes, like if they cross an important axis, the axis points in your chart, or if they cross your sun or whatever, you will find, looking back, that probably that was a very important moment of moving forward into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just looking at this particular eclipse as well, Jupiter's actually very well placed in it. Jupiter in Cancer. So Venus has moved out of Cancer, but Jupiter's still there, and she's making a lovely trine to the moon and the north node, and a sextile to the sun and the south node in Virgo. So that's also, I kind of, the Jupiter in Cancer is this protective influence. What's going well? I mean, it's kind of interesting for Cancerians as well. I know Cancerian that they're going to be starting actually a new academic course under this as well, with Jupiter's education, its travel, it's global. So that Jupiter is really supporting this eclipse. It's kind of about, there's going to be some positive changes, I would think, at this time as well.
Yeah, literally, it's going to be in her 9th house of higher education.
Yeah.
So it's like a beginning. So people often, eclipses often do mean that something departs, but they're often a moment of beginnings. And so there's your friend starting this course. She's a Cancer. It's going to expand her.
Yeah.
And the eclipse is happening in that spot.
Yeah, and also just to say, for Capricorn, this could be about something, what's your partner beginning? Maybe you're supporting them. Where are they starting something new? Is it Jupiter's in your relationship sector? Perhaps they're kind of thinking of taking a sabbatical, or they're emigrating and traveling abroad and you're going with them. And, it's your partner who's expanding your life in some way. Wow. So the Jupiter is playing a lovely role to the eclipse. I mean, eclipses, people get very scared of eclipses. It's who or what is being eclipsed. is what we often say, isn't it? And I think the lunar eclipse, sometimes you become very aware of a triangle situation in your life, a third party, and eclipses can bring what's hidden to light as well. There's often, when I look at what articles people are reading on my website, eclipses are just, everyone's in there. And I think it is because it has this, it's got quite a bad rep, eclipses.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to say it really can be. I mean, a lot of very, not a lot, but quite a few very powerful people are born on eclipses.
Oh, yes.
It's very empowering. And they can kind of eclipse the people around them.
Yeah.
I think, do I want to say both Catherine Middleton or whatever she's called these days, the Princess of Wales and the Prince of Wales are both born on eclipses? Something
Correct.
crazy like
They
that.
are. They are.
And who shall not be named. But I want to mention,
well,
as you were saying, and all those people kind of eclipse everybody else in the room, I guess, when they go in. But what you were saying about three-way stuff, I think that's even more emphasized in this particular eclipse because of the position of Lilith,
okay.
which is at 18. So it's perfectly clicking in to the nodes and Jupiter. And it's like there's this really interesting three-way or even four-way motion with that. It feels quite propulsive, this eclipse. And I think that there may be some kind of revelation of secrets, but Lilith is often involved in three-way stuff.
Interesting. So it could be interesting to see what does come to light under that eclipse, what sort of secrets come out.
And I want to be a little bit careful with this eclipse of very heightened emotions, especially, if you're a Pisces, or if you're Cancer, or if you're Scorpio.
Yeah, water signs.
Oh, water signs. Watch out for that tidal wave of and don't forget, guys, that your emotions can swamp other people because they're so like, they can be like a tidal wave when they're unleashed.
Yeah.
And they are kind of big and fearsome.
Yes. Yeah.
So big, fearsome emotions at this eclipse.
And probably don't drink too much. Being Pisces, because it falls at the weekend. It's that Saturday night, all night partying, and it all comes pouring out. Definitely. So there are, there's things to be wary of on it. I mean, I try not to do major things on eclipses.
Or have the important conversation because it kind of goes, wow.
Yeah. It's, what's it wise to bring to light and what's it best to keep hidden? It's kind of good eclipse law, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm wary of them. I'm wary, and often things come from third field, or you cut things you didn't see coming as well.
Yeah. So this eclipse, we're saying don't get drunk.
Yeah. Or do well, it depends how you handle it, I suppose, isn't it?
Well, I think that you can't say that you can handle it because it's an eclipse, right? So you don't know what's going to happen.
Okay, right. We'll all go meditate and
well,
drink wheatgrass or something.
Ew! People do that. But yeah, it does look like it could be boozy.
Yeah, it looks like boozy.
Okay, so shall we move on from this?
I'm going to put up, because we've obviously it's so important. I think we do need to look at the final eclipse in this as well, which is right at the end of Virgo season, just before the sun moves into Libra. So the sun and moon are at 29 Virgo, which means that, again, this new moon is right in the pattern, isn't it? The outer planets. It's sort of out of sign with some of them, apart from Saturn. But it's connecting again. There's this connection to all these outer planets at early degrees of their signs, as the sun and moon are at the 29 degrees. And this solar eclipse is slap bang opposite Saturn at 28 Pisces.
It's a really huge. I mean, I think this is a huge eclipse as well. It's not as close to the nodes, so it won't be as,
No.
the one's a total lunar eclipse, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the pattern is so strong here. It's an incredible kite that gets made across the sky.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's exactly opposite to Saturn in Pisces. And as I was saying before, Saturn in Pisces is the ending planet in the ending sign.
Mm.
And I feel that this eclipse is saying it's like it's in practical Virgo. It's saying, you can talk about all of these ideas and ideals and stuff, but there are going to be consequences, and Saturn is also the planet of consequences. So it's like words have consequences with this eclipse. And also Virgo being a very word or communicate, it's Mercury ruled sign.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super powerful. For me, there's something about this eclipse I mean, I think it is a will you commit or quit as well. There's a theme of that with it. And almost it feels to me a bit like, words at this point are pointless almost. Words are pointless.
Action.
It's action. You need to, of course, the sun and moon are just on the verge of tipping into Libra, the relating star sign. And it's saying, what relationship is super powerful in your life? Words aren't enough. It's kind of show you mean it. Show you mean it. Show who you're standing next to, show where your alliances are as well. It feels really, there's a lot of energy and power in this.
Yeah.
It's almost like, the sun and moon are being pushed into Libra, aren't they? Get into Libra.
Yeah. I feel that it's very powerful. I also feel that it's like about the endings, because now the new moon pattern has shifted to this ends, right? The end of the sign instead of being at the beginning. So we're going to get these ones at 29 coming up, 28, 29.
Yeah.
And they will click into this pattern but now the pattern becomes it's beginning to become the finishing off stuff. Although there's still that Neptune, everything else, Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus are still at one, so it's not finishing off everything. Obviously, those are still the beginnings, but there's stuff that we have to deal with, and I feel that this eclipse is saying you cannot look away anymore. You cannot look away from this, basically the shit that needs to be shoveled, right? So it's shoveling. First we have the eclipses don't get drunk, and this one is shovel the shit. But it does feel to me like there's stuff that does need to be looked at.
Yeah, and it's a definitive. There's something definitive about this, isn't it? Stop messing about. Stop saying you'll do something. Blooming jump in and do it.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be pushed into it as well. You can't not. It's like you can't not. You've got to do it. You've got to stand up, and it's like finding a backbone as well in this with Saturn there. I mean, Saturn can sometimes. I've got a very strong Saturn. And at times you run into obstacles, but other times with Saturn, it gives you that real kind of, right, I'm not giving up here. It gives you grit, determination. I'm going to do this. It harnesses that inner strength. And there's something about that.
And also, I agree with you. I mean, I also feel like it's like saying no, enough.
Yeah.
Saying enough is enough is enough.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
It's not burst into song. Well, perhaps we should.
Burst into song. This is about saying no, right? And saying this is the actual limit. These are the borders. These are the boundaries.
Yeah.
No, and I can see how that's working politically as well.
Yeah.
There's going to be stuff around. All of these big events in the world.
Yeah, because there's been so much blooming waffle and talk and nothing happens.
Well, and lives lost because of it.
Lives lost, deaths, a lot of death.
Sacrifice. because of this not saying no. And this is the point to say no. And it's interesting, isn't it, that that Neptune is at 0 Aries, because there's a kind of it's like Neptune is sort of sitting there waiting on the revs, kind of, it's sitting there waiting, but it's still in conjunction with Saturn.
Yeah, it is, and it's still opposite the sun and moon very powerfully.
Very powerfully. And Neptune does rule the Saturn because it's in Pisces.
Yeah.
So there is stuff in here about ideals and making those ideals or those ideas or those things you've been talking about. And this may be like actually making the movie that you've been talking about, making it happen. Now you really have to do it.
Yeah. And also, another big theme, like we were talking about the Virgo Pisces axis sort of earlier in the podcast, I think this is there's a lot of faith and belief at this solar eclipse as well. Where is your faith? What do you have faith in? And that could be devotional, spiritual, sacred, or it could be something else that you're putting your faith in. But it's really taking a stand on that as well. It's saying, this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is where my faith lies. So it feels really, really super powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you can just look at the pattern here. It's so strong. With the Pluto and Uranus making that fantastic trine, and pointing down to the eclipse.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot of power from those outer planets. So who do they represent? Yeah. Who's kind of opposing you, or who's really kind of holding you and saying, now is the time. It's the time to do it.
And again, everybody really, because this pulls in so many different, so many different planets are pulled into this eclipse.
It's an exciting month coming up, isn't it? And we started it by saying we don't want to talk about change anymore, any more change coming. But when you look at what's going on, this is not static. This is not trundling along.
No, it's the opposite of static, isn't it? I guess the advice is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do not expect things to, and also I would say don't expect things to pan out in exactly the way that you've planned. Because eclipses mean surprise.
Yeah.
Uranus sitting there at 1 degree of Gemini means surprise, and it gets pinging. So there's surprises. It's like a month with like little pops of surprise right the way through.
It is. And also within that, know who's got your back, find your support, find your alliances again. I think that's so important as well. So you don't feel like you're on your own. And I think this is the theme of the big pattern, and it's been triggered wildly.
Yeah, exactly. And you won't be on your own. Because
you won't. You're not.
If you seek it, you will find the support. This is not on your own. Even if there's something that is attempting, I'm just thinking about how the internet can be very isolating for people, right? And that Neptune in the Aries can be quite a lonely sign sometimes. Because it's the one, it's on its own. But actually, even Aries, don't be alone. You don't have to do everything yourself.
Yeah. And that's where this Jupiter in Cancer is lovely, isn't it? Because that's sort of empathy, emotional connection, protective, finding your clan. So that Jupiter in Cancer is really powerful to remember that moving forward. Well, alrighty. I think we should wrap up, should we? Or were you about to give us a little?
No, I was about to say, let's stop, Sally. Otherwise, we'll go on. Such a big month of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, have a great month. We're going to take the next month off, aren't we?
I think we are. Yes, I think timing wise, we're going to take next month off. So we'll see you in 2 months' time.
But in the meantime, there are our little mini podcasts, which you should, which are very fun.
Yeah.
They're all up there, and the next one will be coming out on the 8th of September.
Yep. Great.
Okay.
Okay. Take care. See you. Bye.